So one of the easiest things that you can do to support your gallbladder, whether you do or don't even have one, is to just take your hands into a loosely clenched fist and just take them down to the sides of your body and just drum. Often, if you have issues with your period, that is often a very unhappy liver. Every single time someone's bashed you or bumped you, or a meal skipped, or someone's not done something to the way they're supposed to do, every email that's come in late at night, every lack of sleep, all of it gets dumped in the uterus and gets purged out. And ladies, by the way, if you're wondering why you then have menopause symptoms, that's why. Hello and welcome to Own Your Health with me, Katie Brindle. Do please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or follow us on Spotify to help us reach more people. And if you're watching on TikTok, Instagram or YouTube, please leave your comments or your questions below. So in today's episode, we are going to be talking all about what happens if you've had your gallbladder removed and how to look after yourself during your menstrual flow. So today's episode, actually, we're going to be talking quite a lot about your liver in one respect or another, but more on that in a minute. Before we get started, here's some lovely comments that have come in since the last episode. Jay Horiot says, thank you for reminding me why I practice Qigong and why I need to do more, which I learned from in your great book, Yang Sheng. Yay, thank you. Do, by the way, have a look at the book Yang Sheng. It was actually an Amazon #1 bestseller when it went into the marketplace. And it's just as relevant today as it ever was when I launched it, because the information's thousands of years old. So it's still good to go even now. In the meantime, Shakila Taranum Maan says, amazing content. Thank you. Thank you, Shakila. And Moora Hutchinson says, the fake flowers are gone. The fake flowers are gone. In fact, you will see that thanks to the gorgeous Kimberly Gallagher, all of the fake flowers, well, not all, there was only one batch, but they've all gone. And we are now completely surrounded by beautiful plants. And I have to say the energy in the room is vastly superior. And what we're now doing is we're growing this little money plant literally off my breath. And he's doing really, really well. He's got 2 new little shoots and 2 more tiny little ones coming up all the way through. So Vix has just put him in this little pot to start with, but he's going to get planted out soon. So we're going to see what happens to the money plant over the next few months. So we'll see how that goes. So into today's episode, we are talking about a very common thing, because gallbladder removal is quite a common thing. It's not like that common, but it comes up a lot. Many people have had their gallbladder removed for many good reasons. Now, what do you do when this happens? Because there are some things that it's worth knowing. Because first of all, the thing in Chinese medicine is that if the actual organ has been removed, you can still do a huge amount of work through the energy channel. Okay, so you can still support the now non-existent organ by working through the energy channel itself. So the first thing to say is that the gallbladder channel basically zigzags down the sides of the body. So one of the easiest things that you can do to support your gallbladder, whether you do or don't even have one, is to just take your hands into a loosely clenched fist and just take them down to the sides of your body and just drum right there where your wrists, not your wrist, sorry, the palm, but where your fists, there we go, so I get the words out, where your fists just meet the sides of the legs. That is a really, really useful point on the gallbladder channel, which really does, so you look a bit like a penguin, but it really, really helps, and it's really easy because you can kind of just do that wherever you are, and it's really good for stimulating. Now, the other thing to do, perhaps when you're not just sort of standing at a bus stop and people are looking, is in the comfort of your own home, is to also tap down the sides of the body, okay, because then you're activating the whole of the gallbladder channel. So what I normally recommend is that you take one hand and put it behind your head and then start where the armpits are, and then you want to go down the sides of the body and then take it all the way down the sides of the legs, all the way down to the sides of the feet. It is a really, really useful technique. It's very, very good at clearing the congestion in the channel. Now, that's a free one. If you want to go deeper, then the next thing that I would suggest you do is to use the Hair Sculptor or the Body Restorer. I'd start with the Sculptor first and then use the Body Restorer second, okay, and put a bit of oil down the sides of the body, and then you want to sculpt, sort of starting again at the armpit and then sculpting under the breast and into the abdomen. Okay, so that you're just kind of swathing down the sides and then sculpt from the sides inwards, okay, and then all the way down the sides of the legs. It is a really, really, really useful technique. And it's a very, very easy one to do as well. Now, some other things that we can do also is to really ensure that we are supporting our livers, because in Chinese medicine, the gallbladder is related to the liver. They are called the yin-yang pair. The liver is yin and the gallbladder is yang. Okay, now what happens if you remove the yang organ is it adds a little bit of extra pressure onto the yin organ. So therefore what we need to do is alleviate the pressure on the yin organ so that everything's back into balance. The first thing about the liver is it's responsible for the smooth flow of energy around the body. Okay, smooth flow of energy and blood. So if you take that gentle tapping that I've just shown you directly onto the gallbladder channel, you can then link it into all over body tapping, which will then support the liver. Now you can do this with a loosely clenched fist, or you can do it with the body tapper. The body tapper is this little bamboo tool here, very, very useful, and it means that you can get all over the body super quickly. You can also work extremely well on the upper shoulders, which is a really important area for the liver itself. Also, it's very important to tap the armpits. So always make sure you're either wearing a t-shirt or you're doing this on clean, dry skin. But tapping the armpit, either with the tapper or a loosely clenched fist, is really, really good for strengthening and supporting liver function in the body. You can also do a lot through diet. So some of the key things for supporting liver and gallbladder health in the diet is, first of all, to eat small portions. So don't overeat. Okay, it's really easy to overeat. I do it, okay, because I have eyes bigger than my stomach and I like food. So therefore I can kind of push myself beyond kind of like, I've had enough. It's like, yeah, but it tastes really nice. Okay, so try not to do that. Okay, try to limit your portions. A very easy technique that I learned actually in Japan as to how to avoid overeating would be to put your food in a small vessel, like a small bowl, and then place the bowl on a plate and place the plate on another plate and place that plate on a mat on the table. By the time you fiddled about with all these plates, okay, the actual amount of food is a lot less than what we tend to do in the West, which is take a big plate and then put loads of food on it and then eat it all. Okay, so it's a really useful little technique. Also, it's the size of a loosely clenched fist is roughly the amount of portion control we should be thinking about. So again, plates can be very deceptive because you can load them up quite easily, whereas bowls, which are already quite small in the first place, are harder to overload, and therefore you're more likely to stay within the correct portion. Also make sure that the food you eat is nourishing and warming, because it's very, very good for the liver and the gallbladder to have room temperature food. Add in leafy greens, add in bitter vegetables, things like rocket, kale, dandelion leaves, and antioxidants such as berries. Also try and avoid greasy and heavy foods and fried foods. Okay, so kind of rich, fried, heavy things are not a good idea. And also please make sure that you are staying hydrated with things like warm lemon water. Now, obviously, be careful of your teeth, and if you're concerned, use a straw and make sure that the straw takes the liquid right to the back of the mouth, so it's kind of avoiding the teeth area. But it's very, very good for supporting digestion and bowel flow. You can also take some really good supplements. Dandelion is a really good supplement, as is hawthorn. Hawthorn is really good, as is peppermint. All of those things are extremely good for supporting the liver. And last but by no means least are exercise and mindfulness. One of the key ways to support the liver is via the breath. So back we go to Mindfulness Bell, which is that app which I talk about all the time. James is about to hit go on the Mindfulness Bell. And have that set. They do a free gong, or you can pay £2 a year and then you can have a gong of your choice. This is James's gong. Take a slow breath in. Linger at the top of the breath. Take a slow breath out. Linger at the bottom of the breath. And you can set that gong to go every 15 minutes and you will forget all about it and it will suddenly gong. And that's just your aide-memoire to go back into that lovely slow breath. You can also do movement. Qigong is fantastic for supporting the liver and the gallbladder, as is yoga, but yoga is not my area of expertise. Qigong is something which I teach a lot. It's on the Instagram platform, and also there's hundreds and hundreds of exercises on my TikTok as well, if you're interested in having a look, and a load of free videos on YouTube as well. One last thing, I'm just thinking, the emotional aspects of liver is also really important if the gallbladder has been removed, because sometimes if the gallbladder is compromised, we will often feel frustrated, irritable, or excessive mood swings. So it's really, really important to use the body gua sha, the tapping and the sculptor to keep the energy flowing through the body to avoid those things from happening, and to also look at the techniques that I've given you on the liver fact sheet, which will be able to help you manage that even more, because there's more techniques there to support you. Before we go into the nuts and bolts of today's episode, I want to talk to you about a really important subject, which actually Victoria Woodall and I were talking about in the podcast recently, which is hair saving. Thin hair. Thin hair is the bane of my life. I inherited it from my mother, who inherited it from her father. And it's not just me, because this podcast isn't really about me, it's about you. But hair thinning and hair loss and hair lackluster and basically hair issues is a huge problem in the 21st century. And we really do need all the help we can get. So Dr. Vegan have got a really lovely hair supplement. And believe me, I've tried them all. So I really, really have. And rather than you having to spend 6 to 8 weeks testing a whole load of different ones, just trust me on this one and try this one first, because it really works. So they have got loads of evidence to show that 6 to 8 weeks of taking this hair supplement product that they sell has got really visible results on your hair. And it is the hair supplement that I like to take myself. Now, what are the magic ingredients in this supplement? Well, Biotin, which is a very well-known hair supplement, but they've mixed it with other vegan ingredients as well. So it's not just pure biotin. It's a high-quality biotin mixed with SMN and AnaGain. Those are the key ingredients in this, but they've also got 14 ingredients in total in this hair supplement, and it's just fantastic. And the great thing is that within about 6 to 8 weeks, you're going to start to notice the difference. The other thing that I really love about these products is it's not just the quality of the ingredients and the fact that it's beating the ethical drum because it's vegan. They've also got fantastic quality of capsules, and the way that they bring the capsules to you is in planet-friendly packaging. And that's a really important thing, because a lot of the supplement market is not. And then the last, but by no means least, aside from all the ethics that come with this brand and the high quality ingredients, it's the price point. They're offering you 25% off if you use Brindle25 at checkout. So those are some wonderful reasons as to why those hair supplements would be the ones that I would recommend that you try. So do let me know in the comments if you've tried them, or if you're going to try them, or how you get on, because we'd love to hear your feedback. And now we'll go to the rest of the episode. That then takes me to my next question, which kind of dovetails back into the liver anyway, which is from Tam Tam. And Tam Tam says, Katie, can you educate us on how we should care for ourselves during our periods? Now, that's really, really useful. It's a really good question. So basically, the first thing about your periods is often, if you have issues with your period, that is often a very unhappy liver. So before I go into any other organs that we need to think about, and remember that if you're new to this podcast, it's always worth listening to a couple of the earlier episodes, because the organs in Chinese medicine rule the body. So it doesn't matter what your symptom is. It will always go back to one or more of the 5 key organs: the lungs, the heart, the spleen, the liver, and the kidney. And that's why I have free fact sheets on all of those organs. So if you're not sure, please just go to my website and just have a look at those organ fact sheets. They are really comprehensive and they're very, very helpful. But the thing with the periods is that the liver is one of the key organs which is compromised by modern day living. The liver is about detoxification. It's also about smooth flow of energy around the body. It feels stress very keenly. We're very overloaded with toxins. The pace of life that we go through now is very fast. The liver opens to your eyes. And in the olden days, I'm not saying the good old days, the olden days, life was slower. So the fastest you would have gone was horse speed. That was the fastest. Most people didn't even get to go on a horse. Most people had to walk. Okay, so that was the rhythm that your liver aligned to, the rhythm of nature, the rhythm of the movement of your body. That's not true anymore. And we, this generation, have grown up with fast cars. You know, with a speed limit of 70 miles an hour on a motorway. That was the speed limit when I was a child. So I got used to looking out of the back window of my parents' car with it going nyoing, nyoing, nyoing. And that was the rhythm. Going from A to B, shuttling ourselves around from one place to another. And that has created a huge amount of stress onto our livers, because we are used to that. That's become normalized, and actually it speeds everything up and it makes us agitated. And all that heat gets dumped in the uterus. And then the uterus has to release all that. And it does. The body basically treats it like a giant, great spring cleaning mechanism. And the body, the woman's body can flush out all of that agitation and stress with the menstrual flow. It's just like the perfect way, which often means that when we're experiencing period pain, we are full of agitation and anger and PMS just beforehand, and you literally want to kill someone, okay? Or you want to burst into tears, or both, depending on which second you happen to be in at that exact moment in time, and everyone's running for cover. Okay, this happens. Sorry, someone in the studio, naming no names, although there is only one woman in the studio, and doubt the other. No, I know we live in gender equality these days, but you kind of have to be a woman to have a period. So she's literally going, oh my God, I've just described myself. And the men are going, literally, they're not looking and they're not commenting or even blinking, thinking, oh my God, we're going to get bollocked for saying the wrong thing. Anyway, so the point is, this is what happens because the menstrual flow is the opportunity for your liver to just get rid of everything it wants to get rid of, everything that's pissed it off during the course of that month, everything that's remained unsaid, every tut, every huff, oh, for God's sake, everything that hasn't gone your way, every train that you've missed, every tube that didn't quite go your way, every single time someone's bashed you or bumped you, or a meal skipped, or someone's not done something to the way they're supposed to do it, every email that's come in late at night, every lack of sleep, all of it gets dumped in the uterus and gets purged out. And ladies, by the way, if you're wondering why you then have menopause symptoms, that's why. Because when the menopause kicks in, that flushing mechanism stops or becomes irregular. And therefore, all of that has to happen in a different way. But I digress. But let's go back to our periods. So the first thing to say to you is to look after your periods, you need to look after your liver, okay? So download the liver fact sheet. Now, there's more because you see, the liver has all of this stuff going on, angry, agitation, flushing out all this negativity, like managing blood flow, of which the menstrual flow is part, and managing kind of the excretion thereof. But then we have the spleen. Now, the spleen is responsible for the production of blood in the body. Okay, it transforms and transports food in terms of blood management. Now, the spleen has an absolute annihilation in the menstrual flow when that liver starts up. Because when that liver starts to get full of blood and it's agitated and bossy and it's a man on a mission or a person on a mission, doesn't rhyme as well. But anyway, it's a person on a mission and it's all hell bent on getting as much of this negative energy into the uterus as possible to purge it out as hard as possible with all those muscle contractions. The spleen gets caught up in the crossfire and gets properly walloped. It's like being in the boxing ring with Mike Tyson, and it literally gets bashed by the liver energy. And the spleen is a very small, gentle organ. It's very soft and feminine, and it goes, like this, and it's exhausted. And of course, all this blood's being coming out of the body, especially if the body's releasing too much blood, which often they do these days. So the spleen then is desperately trying to work really hard to make more blood, to replenish what's been lost, and it's getting bashed about by the liver. Now, the spleen feels then very tender and very sorry for itself, and it needs a whole bucket load of sympathy in order to be able to cope at all. So then in comes the sympathy drive, and then you just feel sorry for yourself. And then you've got this kind of mood swings between agitation and anger and frustration and bursting into tears, which also releases the liver energy, but then also for the spleen to kind of like stick its little hand up in the corner and go, can someone please feel sorry for me, because I'm trying really hard over here and my life really hurts and it's really difficult. And the spleen loves sweet. Oh, it loves sweet. So in comes the modern day misdiagnosis of the craving of sweet, because Cadbury's have really done a good job. And in comes the dairy milk. In comes the I need chocolate, it's my period, I'm off to have a Mars bar or whatever I'm going to have. Now, that is a misinterpretation of what the spleen actually wants. It doesn't actually want sugar, because sugar is a man-made product that's come into the diet in the last few hundred years, and it didn't used to exist. By sweet, we mean root vegetables. And again, if you go to the spleen fact sheet, you will see a whole list of ingredients and supplements and foods that you can eat that will really, really support the spleen all month round, but also in the period time itself. And last but by no means least is the kidney. The kidney is responsible for your essence and your fertility and the production of eggs and pregnancy, and it gets caught up. So one of the reasons we tend to get lower back ache and a weakness in the lower back is because the kidney controls the lower back area of the body. And therefore what happens is the kidney's being drowned in the crossfire of what's going on between the spleen and the liver and the blood loss and the energy flow and all the agitation and all the sympathy votes and the kidney's trying to kind of keep everything on, because you've got a kidney either side of your spine. So it's like literally like the pillars of the body, like a balancing act. And it's just trying to keep everything steady and energized and strong. And it's being depleted in the crossfire. So consequently, in comes the lower backache. So warmth on the lower back is really useful. I would also suggest that you use rub the lower back, so rub the hands 36 times really vigorously together, and use them like little battery packs on the body. So rub, and then zhung, straight onto the lower kidney and rub the lower back. And again, have a look at the kidney fact sheet for some more specific kidney warming exercises. And one of the things that I recommend for all of the key organs I've just discussed is foot bathing. Foot bathing, if you go to above the ankles, to about 3 fingers width above the ankles with the water, lovely, beautiful warm water with some lovely Epsom salts, or some black tea is really good in the foot bath if you've got nothing else, or some slices of ginger. You can do ginger and tea if you want. It's a lovely one, especially in the summer. Foot bathing is lovely. And then give yourself a really lovely foot massage with some magnesium butter, okay? Because that will really, really help soften everything up. Also, if you're giving yourself a foot rub, think of these 3 points, which are kidney 1, liver 3, and spleen 6, are 3 really easy points. We can link to our fact sheet, which has got the points listed so you can just see where they are, but they're very, very easy to find. So those would be the key things that I would say. Look at the 3 fact sheets on the liver, the spleen, and the kidney, okay? Please make sure that you're looking after those organs all month round, and don't just wait for the symptoms to occur. The reason we have problems with our menstrual flow is it's the body basically trying to regulate itself because we're going at such a pace. So please make sure that you're giving yourself these self-care techniques on a daily basis. And again, if you're suffering from period problems, it's proof that your body is imbalanced. So use it as an opportunity to check in with yourself to say, if I've got pain or I've got any of the symptoms Katie's been talking about, then it means that my organs are off balance, and therefore I need to refer to those organ fact sheets and refer to the fact sheet and the masterclass on menstrual health to make sure that I've balanced my body. So thank you all so much for watching and listening today. Do please rate and review me on Apple Podcasts, or follow on Spotify, and share this with your friends. If you'd like to leave a comment, you can leave it on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube, or we now have an email address, which is ownyourhealth@katiebrindle.com. So you can message me directly there. If you're happy for me to share the message, just leave it there. And if you'd like it to be private, just say private at the top so that we know we can't share it. We're more than happy to help you as much as we can. So thank you so much for listening, and see you next time.